All right, boys, so your assessment task for Unit 2, Area of Study 2, probably should put this here, Area of Study 2, or Outcome 2, is looking at the psychological disorders which we will look at in class very briefly, because there's so many of them, and once again it's an area that people spend 20 or 30 years studying one of these specific disorders. So to go through all psychological disorders in a very short period of time is difficult, but hopefully you've got a little taste, and maybe you want to you've already worked out an area that you want to explore a little more deeply, and that's what this assessment task is about, to give you that opportunity to explore a specific psychological disorder more deeply. So let's start with the task. You'll be with a partner for this task, so I'm going to let you guys pick the partners. Often that's fraught with danger, so make sure you pick somebody who you're able to work with, not necessarily a best friend, and you will create a 4 to 6 minute video about psychological or atypical psychological development. The idea of this video is that it will be used in educating family and friends of people with psychological disorders, so it's something known as psychoeducation, and you'll look at that a little bit more in Year 12. But the idea is that providing friends and family with information about psychological disorders can help diminish stigma and encourage social support. So basically it helps people feel less isolated in dealing with their psychological disorder. So you're going to focus on one of these specific disorders, and you could even break it down even further and choose a specific mood disorder or choose a specific anxiety disorder. So you don't need to just use these as a general term. You could break it down even further. There are specific disorders within each one of these. For example, addiction, it could be drug addiction, it could be gambling addiction. So it's up to you whether you go into it more depth. And the idea here, the key areas, sorry, just to go back before I go on further, the idea is you pick one of these specific disorder areas. You're not covering them all. And the key areas to address is that you're presenting to a target audience. So remembering the target audience is the parents and or family and friends of somebody with this type of disorder. All right, so imagine that you're creating a video for them to inform them about the disorder. You're clearly explaining the symptoms of the disorder and identifying how they can be adaptive or maladaptive. So both ways. Sometimes symptoms might actually help, might be effective in helping them be better in their job or in their personal life. But a lot of the time, the reason they are called a disorder is that they are maladaptive. So you'll need to make sure that you're clear about what maladaptive and adaptive means. You're also going to use a case study. So you might have a person that you know either through media or you've witnessed yourself, if you're willing to share that, of course, or you might want to make one up to help explain the disorder and how it can affect people, and then describing factors which may impact on the abilities to deal with change and challenge. So that's looking at resilience there and how the different factors that might influence a person who has that disorder in terms of, pardon me, dealing with that particular, with challenges or changes in their life. So the grading for this one, I'll show you the rubric in a sec, but I did mention this previously in class, is that we're going to use a combination of self-marking, peer marking and teacher marking to try and really give you guys a good bit of feedback and also keep you engaged when you're watching other presentations. I often feel when you show videos in class, there's so much benefit in watching other students work, but I often see boys switch off when they watch other students work. And this is to encourage you guys to really engage with other people's work and give feedback as well. So these students, because you'll be a pair, will self-assess. So you'll both watch the video in class and assess your own work using the rubric I'm about to show you. 3 other students will also mark each assessment as it's shown in class, and I will also mark. So you'll end up with 6 different rubrics, 2 from yourself, 3 from other students in the class and 1 from me. and then you'll collate that feedback and you'll write a short paragraph justifying, firstly saying what you believe your final mark should be, and justifying why you believe that should be your final mark. So it's a little bit different to what you might have previously done. Once again, I try and keep things interesting for you guys, keep you on your toes. And this is the rubric. So you'll want to know this rubric really well, because it'll make it a lot more easily to a lot easier. Geez, I'm struggling. To complete the assessment. It'll also make it a lot easier when you're self-assessing and when you're peer assessing. So there's going across down the bottom, we've got our criteria. So showing your understanding of the disorder, using a case study, the factors affecting coping, and addressing your target audience. And then there's the skill-based ones here, visual and oral presentation. And I have to give marks for timing, otherwise people go over and I can't give them a penalty. So basically the assessment is out of 20, and you'll notice that the highest amount of marks are awarded for these ones here, which are your more knowledge based ones and relating to the disorder. But there's a couple here that are quite important relating to visual and speaking. So I'll go over a little bit what I mean, what a good presentation should look like from a visual and oral perspective in class. But basically, you notice that there's 4 marks out of 20 assigned. So it is quite important that we can hear you quite clearly, that you're speaking with changes of tone, and you're also creating something that is visually easy to follow. So big blocks of text on a screen aren't going to do the job. So that big blocks of text and bright colors that make us dizzy would get you a 0 down here, because it's not actually strengthening your presentation, it's actually weakening it. So yeah, the idea is that you go along and I'll be marking you and you'll be marking your peers on each one of these criteria. So have you extensively summarized and critiqued a disorder? So that would be going through what are the atypical behaviors, what are the typical behaviors, what are the maladaptive and adaptive behaviors, I should say. So how can a disorder help people in life? How can it not help them? What are some problems that people come across? Giving a really good, clear case study to really help us understand how the disorder can affect people, and then going through these other ones here. So factors mentioned, categorized and clearly linked to the disorder, factors relating to coping, so that's our coping and our resilience factors there, and then addressing the target audience. So have you actually addressed family members and friends, or have you just completely ignored that? Would your video be appropriate for family and friends, or would it not? So thinking about putting little cues in there to really show me that you've thought about the target audience that you're addressing with this assessment. And then just with relation to the length, it needs to be between 4 to 6 minutes. So obviously you will lose the mark if it's not. So good luck for this one, guys. Really looking forward to what you're capable of producing. I've gone into it in quite a lot of depth here because I'm not going to be there while you're completing it. So please make sure you have a really good read through this assessment and listen to this video multiple times if you want to hear my voice, or if you just want to check up on what the assessment includes, because once the holidays come, you'll be doing this assessment in the 3rd week of term 2, and I won't be necessarily able to contact you after that point. So it's really important that you go on the holidays, and you can certainly start working on it even before the holidays if you wish, but you need to be really clear when I leave on what you're doing. That's why I'm making this in February, so that you are clear about what you're going to be doing in May. So good luck for this. Really looking forward to seeing what you produce.